2, 1.
Hey, and we're live. Lighting Trade School at it again. You know, Matt, I don't know if you knew this or even recognized it, but this is our 20th episode, bro dog.
Hell yeah, but 20 is huge in the podcast world. I'm pretty proud of us.
Number 20. Did you know that 94% of all podcasts never make it to 20?
Yeah, no, I know. We are going. We are growing. We're having fun. I know what's going to happen on episode 20. I know what's in store for us. Not really, but I know who we're bringing on and everything. This is going to be great. Adding a whole new dynamic with talking to some guys who have joined our inner circle, the Lighting Trade School, access to you, me, Nate.
I was going to say 87% of all stats are made up on the spot. That was one of them, but it's probably not far off.
Well, Ben Franklin did say you cannot trust everything you read on the internet.
No, don't take 94%. It could be 91%. All right. So today, we're going to do something a little bit different. And kind of just the sponsor of today's show is the Lighting Trade School, which I think all of you guys know, right? The podcast is named the Lighting Trade School. So it's weird that it sponsors our own podcast, but it did. And today we're going to bring, one of our, I guess, kind of rising all-stars, maybe. We don't talk about it enough, I don't think, Kat. We started this Lighting Trade School and training folks probably a year and a half ago, but really I kind of call January 2025 is when we really started getting traction, and it kind of really started putting a lot of focus in it. I guess that was like a line in the sand moment. Let's really grow this thing. This podcast started in February or March this year.
Yep.
So we don't really market. Like, we've got some guys that have joined and like changed their lives and their businesses in landscape lighting, and we never really highlight it. And maybe, some of our viewership might like to see, like, hey, this guy's kind of like me, like, didn't really know dickle about landscape lighting, and now, he's an all-star. Maybe that could be me, or maybe there's a tip or trick or something out there that Andrew has to mention. So we're going to interview Andrew, who's also known as David. Andrew David. I like to call him A-Flow or D-Flow. Sometimes I call him Glow Flow, because his last name is Flores, and it just makes sense. So Andrew Glow Flow.
What makes sense in Shane's mind doesn't probably make sense in most of our viewers' mind. Just go with it. It's really fun to be part of Shane's mind and see that thought process of his nicknames.
My daughter has a friend named Shelby, and Shelby came over the other day. She was like 17. My daughter's 16. And I call her Shells, just naturally. I can't help but to nickname or short people's name. I also call her Shelbers or Shelby One Kenobi. But she said, no one ever calls me Shells. I was like, what are you talking about? That's like the easiest short.
The obvious one.
And she said, no, my mom hates nicknames. I was like, oh my gosh, we're never going to get along. So, Andrew Flores. So he has a big Christmas light business. Kind of in the, I think, Orange County area, California. He'll mention where he's from. I'm probably butchering that, but it's somewhere in that wealthy area. And he has a massive Christmas business. Like, he does a lot of Christmas volume. He's not a beginner in business. He knows his stuff. But he was posting on a Facebook group, and he'll probably share the story better. And he asked a question. Somehow I responded. It was kind of one of those comments I responded to. We connected, and I helped and gave him just some pointers on an install. Right, we had never met each other. I just like to help people, I guess. And he was super appreciative, and he ended up like plugging into the Lighting Trade School from that. Did a demo, borrowed Nate's demo kit because they're kind of close by, and like sold this 100+ light job that probably turned into like 200 lights after he just completed phase 2. And he did like an epic install. We shared the pictures here on a previous episode. Like it was next level. Like he got the design. He went from doing nothing and knowing nothing to wanting to do a demo with like drill batteries and super lame on this really baller client. And he does this demo and does this design, blows their mind, and then he installs it. And part of his first install, like, it's mind blowing how good he did. Like, he did really good. Goes to show well, I'll say for the lighting trade school, like we can teach people pretty quick. But someone like Andrew is definitely like a
You gotta want it.
learn. Like he gets it, he wants it, and he's
Yeah.
he's a smart dude. So I thought
Awesome.
it'd be great to interview him. So I'm gonna bring Flow, hey Flow, to the stage. What's up, partner?
What's up, man? Thanks for having me, fellas. Thanks for the sweet introduction too, with the multiple names and all that good stuff.
Typical Shane.
Absolutely. So I'll start. I see we got a little intro on you. I see we're in all holiday light installations. Is that the name of your business? Tell us a little bit about, where you came from before you even, got talking to us. What were you doing?
Yeah, so we've primarily just been a holiday light installation business, and I started the name about 10 years ago or so when I started really getting into the industry. I was doing sales before. Sales weren't working out. Got fired from a couple jobs, and I was like, I'm just gonna go all in with this Christmas light thing. Kind of like how I met you guys, or I met Shane. I was just, my girlfriend at the time was like, we're doing a lot of houses. There's got to be a business for this. Why don't you go online and, check something out? And this is like when Facebook was like, I'd say kind of at its peak of like just really getting the ball rolling with like meeting people and groups and all that. So yeah, long story short, I found, I think it was like Josh Trees, Matt Hayden at the time, when they were connected, and I got linked up with them. Drove down to wherever their office was. I think it was like Rancho Santa Margarita or something down south from where I'm from, out here in Long Beach. And I got connected with them. Christmas kind of took off. We just crossed over the 7-figure mark last season. Have had steady growth. Thank you. Yeah, steady growth for the last 6 years. Like we've been doing about 6 years is when I like to say like kind of got my shit together. Like really started taking it seriously. We got some pretty big projects on our belt. Worked with the Ritz Carlton down in Orange County. The Mission Inn Hotel out here is one of the largest projects in the country. So yeah, that's kind of what we've been doing. And then more so recently, because Christmas is just a very short window during that time of year, we decided to kind of start dabbling in some other industries. Landscape lighting just kind of goes hand in hand with it, and that's kind of how we're at where we're at now, and that's kind of how we reached out to Shane and started to develop that new avenue.
What are you only Christmas lights as of the last 6 years?
So we have really kind of grown as a company. I wouldn't say we're actually in the middle of like a rebrand for our Christmas business, because we're not really just doing basic Christmas lights anymore. When we started, we were just doing houses, like just bread and butter houses, maybe a little garland here and there. Now we're really doing a lot of like custom fabrication work. Shopping centers are hiring us, massive HOAs, and they're wanting to come up with a whole kind of design for their displays. So it's not just really throwing up lights anymore. I'm especially like the Ritz Carlton is probably our biggest one, and like that hotel is like, you're not just going to go hang up some C9s on a roof line. You've got to come up with a whole design for the interior, the exterior, the planning on it. So it's a much larger scale of what we're trying to do. And yeah, that's kind of the direction where we're heading. And we're not, I feel like with our current name, we're kind of limited with just holiday light installations. It's worked for us. I love it. It's where we started. But I think where we're going, it's calling for, a bit of a change with the growth that we've had.
I didn't know that. Maybe that's where we go well, right? Because everything we do with landscape lights is, what we call level 11. It's over and beyond what anyone else would do. It sounds like that's kind of what you do with Christmas lights.
Exactly. Yeah. And I feel like a lot of people just think like, oh, you do Christmas lights. It's like, actually, dude, I mean, we're kind of doing a lot more, a lot of, fabrication installs, and we're up on lifts, and yeah, it's not just, two drunks in a truck like they used to say,
Yeah, it's not the gutter slammer.
Yeah, for sure.
Did I get that right? Is Long Beach kind of considered part of Orange County, or those?
Yeah, we're right on the cusp of like, we're the closest south city to Orange County. Right next door to us is Seal Beach, and that's Orange County. I'd say a solid 50-50 split of our projects are in LA and Orange County. LA people tend to want to spend more money, and they're a lot more like, yeah, whatever, let's, here's a $10,000, $15,000, $20,000 job. Cool, let's do it. Orange County, as you probably can imagine, is a bit more conservative, but still a lot of really fun, exciting projects down there. And obviously the benefit of working in Orange County a lot is the traffic is much sweeter down there in comparison to Los Angeles.
Nice. So
Long Beach. Sorry, man. Is Long Beach an affluent area?
It's definitely got some parts for sure. There's obviously a lot of, very, rundown areas as well.
That's
But
what
I
I
would
think,
say,
right?
yeah, I know the media and
LBC,
whatnot
stupid
and make
dog.
people think, yeah, there's just like all these terrible parts of Long Beach. Actually, it's a really beautiful place down like in some of our nicest parts, like Belmont Heights, Belmont Shores, Second Street area. And the east side of Long Beach is very nice, very affluent, very wealthy people, multi-million-dollar homes. So yeah, overall, it's a good mix, I would say. And there is a lot of really, beautiful places to work out here.
I
Yeah.
didn't get that wrong, right? Long Beach is like Snoop Dogg, LBC.
Oh yeah, totally. Yeah, yeah, everyone knows Snoop out here
Big
for
Sean
sure. Yeah, definitely.
So all right, you're doing badass Christmas, right? You're growing, you're loving life and everything. Then what makes you decide to even start looking before you even got with Shane? What made you look into landscape lighting? Like, why landscape lighting? Were clients asking you for it, or what happened?
Yeah, I would say there was always like that conversation when you're working. Like, I mean, I think Matt, you do Christmas. I think you kind of started the same, and I'm sure you kind of heard when you were working. Like, well, what do you guys do the rest of the year? Like, everyone thinks it's a 30-day business, and so the conversation would come up often with existing customers. Like, oh yeah, we've kind of been thinking about redoing our landscape, or we're thinking about it. And then it was actually last year, we really had started to grow over these last 4 years, and we brought on a couple of our guys who are full-timers who are good friends of mine, and we were just like, we need to really get something going in the off season, because it's too difficult to float payroll and just wait around for Christmas to come. It's a lot different when it's like you and two guys you can let go, but when you're running a full business, it's year round, like you got to make something happen. So we had the idea for landscape, and last year was actually, I know Shane thinks he might be misunderstood with our big job that we're going to talk about later, but we actually did another job before where we ran an Instagram ad, and we had a customer reach out to us. Actually wasn't even a customer. It was just a completely cold lead. Someone new who just found our ad. He ended up, wanting to work with us. And so we did our first job, which I think it was like 43-ish lights, something like that. It was around there. Completely different system than Lifetime Lighting. It was significantly more difficult. 12-volt systems. It was still very long runs. I actually called my buddy who's he's an electrician up in Santa Barbara, because we wanted some assistance, because he was doing it on the side, and he came down and kind of helped us with it. And that's pretty much how we kind of got the ball rolling. And even then, we sort of only did that one job because it was already in like June of last year. And so season was already coming up. We started our other big project mission in, which was in September. So we kind of just pumped the brakes. And then basically what we decided to do this year with another customer, the one that me and Shane know each other from now. My wife was on the job. She was like, no, yeah, we actually do landscape lighting. And they were like, we want to just redo our whole place. Like, we've lived here a long time. We want a curb appeal. We want the security added. Like, we really want to do this. And honestly, low key, I don't know if I can cuss on here, but like, I was scared shitless, because I was like, this is a big fucking job. Like, this is no joke. When you guys see the photos, like it looks like the freaking White House. So yeah, we basically ended up just kind of going through season with them, and we were obviously doing our takedowns and whatnot. And then the family was like, hey, like, when are you guys going to come out? We really want to, get the ball rolling with this. So I'd probably gone out there like 2 or 3 times just to kind of walk the property, see what's going on. And then, like Shane was saying earlier, like, me and my buddy that works with me, like, we were going to take like a drill battery and like try to do a demo. And like, it was all bad, man. It would have just we wouldn't have got the job, straight up. There's no way we would have blown it. We would just look super unprofessional and rookie. But yeah, and then I went on Facebook, found Shane. I think you guys
before you get to that one, let me get back. So your first job was 43 lights, and you just kind of wung that. Like, how? I know you said it was like fucking crazy to you, right? 12-volt first job.
Yeah.
Doing that job, were you excited to do more landscape lighting jobs, or were you like,
to be completely frank, I was actually not even on the job. I was actually traveling out of town for a friend's 30th birthday. And my guys had that worked for us pretty much full time in the off season. They did it, and they were like, this is pretty sick, dude. Like, it was cool. It was fun. The work, I would say, they had said, and now that, I've done some of it myself, it's extremely more labor intensive than Christmas lights. It's like a night and day difference. But it's funny, actually, because that first job, just last week, that customer hit us up, and was like, hey, we just did some more renovations to our backyard. Can you come out here and add some lights? So I actually got to go see it. And I played with it at nighttime. Like, and that's the thing too. Like when you're a lighting guy, like I feel like the actual labor side kind of sucks. Like unless you really enjoy that. But once it gets dark and you're like, dude, this is looking super fucking badass. Like shout out to Nate, how he talks, you know?
Yeah.
But yeah, that it would be, it's super cool, you know, like, I really enjoyed it. I will say too, by the way, like using those other fixtures compared to Lifetime, like, dude, it was, they suck. Yeah, it's not, it's crazy night and day. But yeah, that's kind of, the guys were like, we really should, you know, look into this. It's fun. And then actually I got to give a shout out to Clippa too, because we went to ClippaCon last year. That was our first time attending. And we had decided to just, you know, link with some other people. We were talking about lighting and whatnot. And a lot of people out there were like, we've actually been doing landscape lighting too. We've had a lot of success with existing customers. And so, you know, kind of worked.
Yeah. Cool.
Yep. Josh and Matt, friend of the channel.
Yeah, totally. Yeah. Super cool guys, both of them.
All right. And then I see Shane's not talking, so I'll keep going. Shane, first off, are you trying to upload any pictures or anything so we can talk about
I was looking
it?
like,
Looks like you are.
yeah,
I was like,
pictures here that I could start bringing up. If you have them ready.
I was going to say, I think I sent them some to you last week, right, Shane?
Yeah, we have them here in our Telegram chat somewhere. I was looking through our feed for quick access to it.
So Shane, how about this? You ask him about what got him this job that you ended up reaching out. You take over. I'm gonna remove myself from the stage and grab some pictures. I'll be back.
Okay, perfect. So yeah, what was that trigger moment, you know, Andrew, where you what were you doing? How did we meet? What did I say that kind of stuck out as different? And then what made you just kind of go all in and reach out, you know, to the lighting trade school? Kind of walk us through that.
Yeah, I think I had just gone on Facebook. Facebook's kind of been like a really good tool for me since I started doing lighting. There's a lot of really great people on there, a lot of really kind of shitty people though too. I think I had just joined your guys' group or something. I really can't remember, but I had saw a post. Actually, I think you had posted in a group that Josh Trees is a part of. And I had saw you posted something, and it was like, I could help you out, like to some other random person in there. And I think I commented like, oh, like, would you mind if I sent you something or whatever? You're like, yeah, for sure. Because I knew the magnitude of this project. Like this was not going to be like the first job that we did. It was, like I said, it was about 40 something lights. It was still a decent sized property, but this is just the one that we worked on where, you know, I sent you the photos. It's a beast, you know, this is not your typical size home. And we were straight up, we were a little nervous. Like, we're like, we don't want to go in here and blow it. This customer really liked us for Christmas and for Halloween. Like, we want to make sure like we're going to go in here and really blow this family away. And that's when I reached out to you. And then once you were just like, hey, send me the photos. Like, I'll take a look. I think I sent you a couple and you're like, dude, send me everything in a Google Drive. Like, I'll just make you a quick little, I think it's like a Vimeo or one of your type of video applications that you use, but you basically just narrated the whole thing with like 40 different photos. And you were like, yeah, I'm going to take like 5 minutes to go through it. And then ended up taking like a 30-minute video to like kind of explain everything. And obviously, like, once someone helps you like that for just out of the kindness of their heart and like was like didn't expect anything in return, that's why I was like, this guy and these people know what's up. And ultimately, I think that was the best decision we could have made, because the systems that we use with you guys from Nate and Lifetime Lighting in general, like, they're just better, to be honest. Like, you know, like, Nate obviously is like, that dude's just too smart for his own good. Really intelligent. The products that he makes, they work well. And again, like, back to saying about the products that we bought from like our original vendor for that first job, like, just the level of craftsmanship with the Lifetime Lighting systems are a complete 180. Like, the way they're prepared, the installation process, the light bulbs don't fall out, or the lamps, like, they're structured well. Like, it's really insane how good they're built. And yeah, that's why, you know, everything's kind of worked out with you guys in Lifetime. And it's been, you know, we just sent our other bid for phase 3 last week, just over 50,000. Yeah, we're just waiting to hopefully clear that one. And then, you know, we'll be at a total for the job of around, I think, just over 300 fixtures.
Pretty massive job.
Yeah, his job is no joke.
Super exciting.
No, it's super, yeah, very fun. Again, very labor intensive job, but yeah, this thing has been, it has not been a walk in the park. I will say that it's been quite the job for sure.
So I think I caught you almost right before you had a demo scheduled. And I remember
Yeah.
going through that Loom video. I use Loom as a platform. That's what David was referring to. I use Loom a lot, just for the audience, just going through proposals like that to give to a client. This is just, it's super helpful. Sometimes when I'm in person, I don't have enough time to like sit and really think about it and kind of analyze the photos, at least for like these big jobs where some real thought goes into it. And this was one of those. So I jumped on Loom and kind of did what I would normally do to a customer with Andrew. And yeah, I only planned on 5 minutes, but it was just such a cool property. It ended up going on for 30 minutes. I don't commonly just give out 30 minutes just anywhere just on Facebook. So he just happened to like, oh, meet me at a good moment. It seemed like a cool project, and it just seemed like it was, worthy of giving some attention to. And now, we got a good friendship out of it. So it's kind of weird how those things happen. When you were going to do a demo prior, the way you were going to demo it, I remember was extremely funny. Tell us that. What was your plan as far as doing a demo prior to meeting us?
Yeah, so we've got friends over here in the industry who they're doing landscape lighting on a really elevated level as well. And they were like, oh, we have demo kits and but they're really expensive. I think one of my buddies out here had paid like $8 or $9 grand for his, and it was still wired, and he had to, it was very difficult to do. And I was like, well, I'm not going to spend that kind of money. We're not at that level right now. Let's, figure this out. And then where we got our original fixtures from last year's job, they're like, oh yeah, you can just grab the wires and connect them to a drill battery and the light will power on. And so me and my buddy that works with me were like, we're just going to go out to the house. And we would have just looked absolutely ridiculous. And there is no way in hell we would have got the job. With the demo kit that, that you guys have, they're so badass and convenient because they're all, they're wireless, they're battery operated. You get 60 of them. And a property, now you guys see the photos, a property like this, if you imagine two guys and one fixture and a battery just trying to light every single spot. It's the customer's going to be like, bro, get the fuck off my property. You're not showing me anything, So that completely went out the window once talking to Shane, and him kind of letting me know, talk to Nate, get about this demo kit. And honestly, at the time, I didn't even really know battery operated demo kits existed. I don't even know if that's just a thing exclusive to Lifetime, but yeah, I didn't know they existed. But ultimately, Shane, me meeting him, and then the demo that we were able to get from Nate, that's really what saved our ass on this job, because we were able to go out. And I think Nate, after he saw the photos, he gave us dude, I think it was around 80 or 100 lights. It was a good amount of demo lights to basically go out, because obviously with a property of this size, you can't just take 4 or 5 fixtures and hey, check this out, this is what we can do. You're trying to wow the customer. This is obviously a 6-figure job. You really got to go out there and be prepared and do whatever you can to do it the right way. So that ultimately saved our ass and really helped us get the job.
I would say,
I got a question on that. I've been listening, and obviously, hopefully I put all the right project pictures in there. But so you met Shane. Shane took a half hour, made you a badass Loom video showing what you do, hooks you up with Nate. I know I had talked to you, and you're like, yo, I'm talking to Nate. We're good. So before you even bought any fixtures from us, before you even really knew what lighting trade school, I mean, maybe you had heard about us, right? We've met here and there, but we helped you out, give you all that before you even spent any money or did anything with us. We were just hey, let's help this fucking guy out type of deal.
Yeah, that's honestly really what it was. Shane and I had never met before. He was just literally some dude I found on Facebook. And I think he had mentioned to someone else, yeah, if you guys need help, we're willing to help you out. Let us know. And then I was like, I've never met this fool in my life. Let me just hit him up on Facebook. And I just commented hey, would you be willing to help me out too? He's like, yeah, sure. And yeah, that's how it worked. I will say, even I think when me and Matt first met, we chopped it up at Transworld this year, and he kind of told me the back end of his thing. But it seems the 3 of you, with Nate included, you are just kind of willing to help people, especially when they're getting started, And I will even say, I don't even think there was really an obligation. You guys were never well, I'll help you out, but buy my stuff, you know, like that wasn't it at all. Shane all just basically made a subtle nod to Nate, like, you know, you really got to check out Lifetime Lighting Systems. Nate's the creator of this. And, you know, this is a 24-volt system, the way the lights are ran with the long runs. And honestly, dude, like, I don't really believe a 12-volt system would have worked on this property. It would have just been such a mathematical nightmare, and it would have just taken an extraordinary amount of, like, you know, fixtures, and then on top of that, all the other transformers you would need. So I mean, I'm sure someone, you know, has been doing low voltage for the last 25, 30 years could probably have done it. But dude, the amount of like extra time, extra material, and just like extra labor in general, like you would have just, most people I feel like would give up on this job. Like it just doesn't, it's not easy, you know?
Yeah. So let me ask, because I haven't seen the video. Obviously, I use Loom too. I do it for clients. I do it for.
I got the idea from Matt.
Yeah. Oh, hey, good job, Cap. But you know, I know there's other manufacturers, other people that like they say, "Oh, we help you with designs," and they send like CAD drawings or they do these things. We've never really done those. Obviously, you've seen how we help with designs is totally different. You know, can you talk about that? Like, are we confusing because we don't use CAD drawings? Is that like harder for you? Is it easier for you? Like, tell us a little bit about like us helping you with designs and how that's been easy to understand, or are we there to clarify all that?
Yeah, I will say the CAD drawing thing, like I don't really think that's, you know, too necessary. I'm not the biggest fan of that. One thing I do differently, I think, than you guys though, is like I haven't used a Loom video for my customers yet because we've only had a handful of jobs. And I like to just do face-to-face sales more and like talk about everything when I'm there in person.
Yeah.
We do like the aerial overview of the property as well. And I still do make like a diagram. One, I do the diagram for like the crew so they can know like, all right, this is what we're going to do. It's transformer locations. So they kind of figure it out. And then I just kind of do it for the customers so they can see like, oh shit, these guys are like, they're really going to get down on my property. They're going to do a lot of stuff. But I'll say like in the Loom video, like it was very descriptive. And it was super helpful. And I feel like that would be the most helpful when comparing to, you know, trying to get help from some of these other bigger, you know, manufacturers that are out there and you get their Instagram ads all the time and whatnot. One is just like, you're not getting the personal connection with these other companies. And I don't know, this day and age, man, I feel like connections are everything. And it's so beneficial. Like I've hit up Shane probably in the last, you know, 2 months, 15, 20 times, like, hey man, I know we talked about this, but like, would you mind let me know what's up with that? Or like, what's your recommendation? I think just getting like the clarity from the video and like you being able to like correlate it with your own design, like, okay, this guy's a veteran, he knows what looks good, I'm going to trust him and like take his recommendation and really try to implement it in a way. Whereas opposed to like some other company or whatever, they're just going to give you like a CAD or like, oh, we'll just do, you know, 50 pathways here or like whatever, just some wells. It's like, you know, it doesn't really make sense. And honestly, I feel like it gets confusing too, because it's like, they didn't really take the time to look at it and actually like implement a personal design. I feel like it's almost more generic.
Yeah, sure. And what I've seen and I've heard from our guys too is everyone helping with the design on the other side, they've never actually done lighting, installed a light, or designed a job for real. Just
Yeah, that's what I was kind of gathering too. Like a lot of these guys have just really never done it. They're obviously just like, you know, I feel like how many times you go to Home Depot and you're like, yeah, I need help. You know, I'm going to replace like my kitchen countertops. And it's like the 17-year-old there is like, yeah, dude, I think these would look sick. Like, you know, like they don't really know. They're just there to kind of help you make the decision buying process, you know, whereas opposed to, you know, veterans like yourselves, where it's like, we've been in the trenches, literally, like we've done these kind of jobs, like, and it's like, you guys both have the work that shows for it, you know, Nate too, like, you know, Shane sent me a bunch of photos and of projects that you guys have worked on. I've seen the videos and stuff. So it's like having someone that's really done the nitty gritty it's just beyond beneficial.
Yeah. Awesome.
I wrote down a couple things during that, Cap. One, you know, Andrew, we do markups. I don't just do a Loom video. We normally use draw where the lights are when we're presenting to a client.
Yeah.
I wouldn't spend an extra hour or two doing that on your pictures, but like that is something presenting to a client.
Totally. I imagine you did something like that. Yeah, for sure. I think when I was just talking to Nate before, he's like, you don't need to do this all the time. I was like, I don't know, man. I kind of like it. So,
well, Nate likes pen and paper. Matt and I do.
Yeah.
I'm
I'm more like you guys too, for sure.
the drill batteries. When you said that, I wrote this down. I can imagine the customer looking at you like, "Come on, David. Like, you got 5 minutes. Wrap this
Yeah,
shit up.
I know, dude.
Running to every
Even me and my boy
coach.
Joey, like we still laugh at it to this day. We're like, bro, we would have just looked like complete idiots out there, man. Like,
That's
there's
a
just
great marketing video. Go do it again, like with the drill batteries and shit. And you know, you can be like, this is
honestly, it would
another
probably
guy.
take off. That would be hilarious for sure.
Yeah.
Yeah, I would probably say if you didn't have the demo kit, there's no way you would have sold that $75,000 job. And kudos to you for impressing Nate enough to like even borrow him. It's not like Nate loans out a $10,000 demo kit to just anybody.
Just a little quick story with that. The first time we did it, like he like had his boy, I can't think of his name right now. The main dude at the Ray. Ray's super dope too. Shout out Ray. But he had Ray draw up like an inventory sheet and was like, dude, make sure like, and basically like I think he took a picture of like my credit card because like you'd never met me. So he's like, I don't trust this guy. Like I want to make sure he's not trying to like come up with my shit. And then we've since borrowed it a couple times. Like all that's obviously gone out the window. Everything's kind of like handshake agreements and whatnot. So it was pretty funny though in the beginning.
Well,
yeah, I even heard one time you were returning it, and he was like, "No, don't fucking take it to me. Take it to Kevin." And you went to like another demo, right? Like just
exactly, yeah, and that worked out too because like I spent probably like 4 or 5 hours with them, which was another big project that Kevin Loper was working on too. It was this massive property in Temecula. For those who don't know, it's like wine country, massive lots, really big properties. And this one guy's got just a beautiful backyard, insane pool. He's got like a casita for hanging out. And Nate, and that was cool to actually be there with Nate on site because the only other opportunity I really had with Nate when I was doing my demo, he helped me on FaceTime too when I was there. I don't think I mentioned that earlier, but that was really nice of him to kind of help guide us on what he thinks is going to look the best. But being in Temecula and returning the lights, like again, this was at least another 100 light job or something. I think they ended up doing a couple hundred there. But just being there physically, like going, and then Nate kind of like having you go in the field training, right? Like it's like he kind of walked us through it during like when it was still sunny outside, and like this is what we're gonna do. Here's the placement on everything. He's got his his yardsticks, whatever they're called. And then being there at nighttime to go kind of adjust and what looks good. That was actually super beneficial too.
Awesome.
Yeah, going back to some of the things I wrote down, you said that job would be super difficult to do with 12 volts. And like, totally. With you, so I learned on 24 volts, after I met Nate. I mean, I started with 12 volts like anybody, but, like when you go 24 volts and the math kind of goes out the window and you don't have to, get voltage drop and calculate everything. Like it takes 90% less time figuring out how you're going to map out wires.
100%, dude. Yeah. I kind of compare it to like Christmas lighting. And I can't remember if you do like Christmas lights too, Shane, but I know Matt does. And like, honestly, with like the LEDs that we use and like when you're busting out inlines and doing crazy, tree wraps or a 200-foot yard line of hedges or whatever, like you don't really think about that because the LEDs and everything's going to work. And like obviously you get to a point where you got to you make another jump or draw another line of power and whatnot. But yeah, I kind of compared it to that. I'm like, dude, this is like, it's almost like not necessarily using incandescent versus LED, but in a sense it kind of is, right? It's like, why are you going to go with this older product or this older technology that it still might work, but it's going to be more problematic down the road, not give you the opportunity to really add lights if you ever need them. And there's this other system that's essentially newer technology, works a lot better, and it kind of takes a lot of like like the hustle and bustle out of it. Why would you not want to give that one an opportunity and use it?
That's
I
a
like
great analogy. It's like incandescent to LED. That will run every 40 feet of Christmas lights.
Exactly. Yeah.
Yeah, no, that's a great analogy. And a lot of our listeners are obviously Christmas guys. And I remember when I started, it was incandescent. I'd have like 6 lead cords up on one roof line. And now you can do like 800 feet.
Exactly. Yeah.
Lead cord. It's so similar. Yeah, man.
To me, it's now a no brainer,
Sure. Ben, you had anything else written down from there that you really wanted to grind in on, or?
Well, no, I did 2 other things like I wrote down at least. Like you met on Facebook, and Facebook is super helpful, and there's so many good people out there like willing to help that are knowledgeable. But there's also the opposite of that, and there's the Billy Joe that's done 10 installs and has done them awful and is horrible, but thinks he's great. Like it's hard to sometimes decipher when you're getting like advice on Facebook. Like, is this guy really someone that's like credible to listen to? And there's something, I guess, that I said that made me sound credible for you to reach out. But, there's so many bad advice out there. For every one good answer, you have 9 bad answers, I'd probably say. And then, the last thing I wrote down is you mentioned the demo kit and battery powered and how lifetime lighting systems just make the install so much easier. It was really just the credibility of Nate, right? He was an installer first, and he still installs. He only installs right when he gets a referral and it's a 200 plus light job. It's not like Nate's out there trenching, but he does it so he can stay relevant and in the field and always be inventing. Like that demo kit is like version 3 since I've met him. It's like he's always inventing and making stuff better in every aspect. There's no other company out there that does it like that. There's no other company that's out in the trenches on design and install. Like, he's just such a wealth of information.
I would say too, like, again, going back to Facebook, like, there are a bunch like of just loser Joe Schmoes out there who are like, dude, I know what I'm doing. I've done this a million times. They're just like that guy, like the 2 drunks in the truck or whatever. And they're just trying to make ends meet. And it's like, I don't know, obviously the way you speak, the way you guys present yourselves and just our whole interaction, I could tell I'm like, this guy's not bullshitting me. I think that kind of goes to me having a little bit of business savvy too. Like, I've been on, the internet for a while now. And I mean, I'm sure you guys growing up or seeing on like, Facebook, Instagram, all that, like how many of these like gurus are out there. And I'm like, you can't trust nearly 90% of them. But you guys right off the bat, I'm like, why would this guy be bullshitting me? And like, once I got the Loom video too, I was like, this guy knows what he's doing, dude. Like 100%. Like, there's no way he's like making this up right now off the top of the dome. And then, same thing with Nate, but like, just, again, like even touching on back on like, we talked about with our first job with the product. I don't know if that was on the pod or was before when we were talking, but like the product we used, dude, it was just like, it's definitely going to work, right? It'll get the job done. But like, there was already one fixture we had to replace when we went out to add more lights. And just like the whole like assembly of them, how like they're not really assembled. You're putting in like the lamps and everything. You're doing all like, the hot wiring with like the heat like lamps or whatever, and like getting it all prepared or the heat shrink, I'm sorry. And like, it's just way more difficult and such a hassle. And really, like when I first met Nate, he was talking about like the labor saving side of things with like his products. And honestly, I was like, this fool's full of shit. Like, he just wants me to buy his lights. Like, there's no way, I swear to God, like, that's what I thought. And then like, once we got them and we played with them and we saw them. And like, I talked to my crew who obviously does, majority of the installs. They were like, honestly, like these lights come better prepared. Like, they do save a lot of time on labor. Like, like the whole, basically too, again, like a benefit of like knowing you guys personally, you can call up Nate, like, yo, we've got this crazy run. We're going to need, a 40-foot line to come out the transformer. Can you do it? Yeah, sure. No problem. Like, even though the website says like 6-foot lead or whatever, they'll just custom make what you need. That goes for the fixtures itself too. Like, if you want a 40-foot loopable, if it's not on the website, you can call them up. They're going to get it done for you. And that's huge, like as business owners, like we're definitely trying to get the best bang for the buck. Like, I would be lying to you guys if I said like I didn't go online and look at like all these other manufacturers that I get, all the Instagram ads on, and like, not to say that they don't necessarily have a good product, but it definitely didn't match up with like how things can be made and like actually just picked up and ready to go. And I was like, we're just going to go with these ones. Like they work. But again, I think the biggest selling point with me was the 24-volt system, dude. Like, it's just a no-brainer, man. It is.
That's awesome.
Like,
I think that's one of the hardest things, right? When guys that have even done a few jobs and we're telling them, no, you're going to get these phantom costs that is so hard for us to actually put a dollar value on, between opening up lamps, throwing out the additional garbage, being able to just grab a bag. And everyone is just like you, like, this is fucking bullshit. Like, there's no way. And it's so hard. It's almost like some of the guys have to do a job or two the other way and then do a test 100%. Job of ours and go, holy shit, they weren't lying. That's what they meant.
Yeah, I was just actually going to say that too. Like, honestly, like if there's someone on here like looking to compare apples to oranges, like, get some fixtures from your local store or one of these other, manufacturers, and then just grab a few lifetime. Like, you're going to see the difference right off the bat. Like, I would even say too, just like getting this job, dude, last week was so frustrating because like we're adding these new fixtures that like we don't use anymore, and like you put the lamp in, then you put the the lens on top, and then all of a sudden you connect, and then it fell off because it's not secure. And I'm like, dude, where's Lifetime when you need them right now? Like this is just, it really does make the job go a lot smoother. And ultimately, like when the job's going smooth, you as the installer, you're just more happy. Like that's straight up. You're not getting frustrated. Things are moving in the right direction. Whereas opposed to you're always, fiddling with something and trying to make it work. It just gets a fluster fuck of a situation.
Yeah, and your guys, right? As a business owner, your guys are happy. We know once your guys get frustrated with something, it's gonna lackluster because we'd all do the same thing. Well, this fucking light, there's a spring in here. The MR16 is not sitting right. Fuck it,
exactly, dude.
I'll move on.
Yeah,
cool.
It's a no-brainer, man. Buy the better product. It's not like it's really like even like much more expensive, I'd say, like even after comparing. I'd say it's very competitively priced. And ultimately though, like you just want to buy the better shit, dude. Like make your team happy, work for your guys. It's just everything's gonna work better in your business for sure.
All that's like flashback 4 years ago when I met Nate. He had invited me all weird like to his hotel room to talk lights. I didn't know him, but then just great friendship and mentorship was born from that weird phone call and invite. Love you, Nate. All right, Cap, you got any other more questions here for A-Flow?
Yeah. So I mean, obviously now you've done this. You kind of mentioned it, but what is, for guys that are looking into like lighting trade school, they're looking into Nate or me or Shane, what we're doing. Did we help you sell that first job and then just kind of leave you and like, hey, good fucking luck now that you bought our product? They're like, are you still, I know the answer to this, right? But are you still leaning on these resources between Nate or Shane or me? Like, or are you just like, no, I'm good. I don't need to talk to these guys anymore.
No, yeah, it's going to be the complete opposite. I think Shane even reached out just like saying like, hey, how's it going with the job when we started phase one, or just, kind of want to get an update from me. And then more recently, when we finished phase two, I was super pumped on phase two because like the hedge wall, Shane, you can remember, dude, like this thing looks so fucking sick. And I just was like, I got to send Shane these photos. He was the guy that got me involved. And then I got a call from like Nate like the next day, and he's like, yo, what the fuck, why didn't you send me the photos? And I was like, oh shit, I only sent them to Shane, my bad. Like he's like, dude, yeah, I want to see it. So obviously too, if you can see some of those trees up there that piss us off, we got to go back and kind of touching things up. We ended up doing that just because they were a little dark, we didn't like them. But the hedge wall itself, we were super stoked. Shane was pumped to see everything. The customer at the end of the day too, which matters the most, they're extremely excited about the job. But yeah, like again, yeah, like it is super fucking badass, dude. Shout out Nate. Yeah, this one right here, we were pumped on it. A little bit of front lighting. I know it wasn't probably Nate's most favorite. He's definitely a big hater on that. But yeah, ultimately, this is what we ended up going with, and the customer really liked it. We were pumped. But yeah, again, back.
A huge shout out. He said you knocked this out of the park. It looks like you've been installing lights for over a decade here.
Yeah.
I think any like we could critique anyone's job and find something to say, but like they can still critique my job. I even still lean on Nate and Matt, like asking them questions sometimes when super difficult installs, not because like I can't figure it out on my own, because I love like the extra viewpoints,
right? Totally,
it's the creative juices flowing.
Yeah, I think even with this one, like my biggest critique of this, because obviously I'm my own biggest critic, and like my crew will tell you, like I'm kind of fucking annoying. Like we as lighting guys, like even with Christmas, like we see something, we're like, dude, we need to go fix that. But the guys are like, bro, you think the customer's gonna see this 60 feet away from their house? I'm like, I know, but fuck, I want to make it right. And like to me, like it was this back hedge wall, which I personally don't like, and I wish we would have kind of added some more lights. Unfortunately, the customers had turf installed, and so now we're kind of, it is what it is. But again, the customer's really happy with the job, so I'm happy that they're happy. But that was Nate's biggest critique too. Like he didn't really say much about the trees, which I was surprised, because I know how much he just kind of despises front lighting. But he's like, dude, this looks badass. Like everything looks great. There was obviously a couple hot spots that we went back and touched up with, like the statues and whatnot. But overall, like to hear that from him too, like someone who's a veteran of the craft, like who's been doing this for literally like, more than half their life. Like I was like, that's pretty sick, dude. I'm pumped on that.
Yeah, that's a badge of honor.
Yeah,
Nate doesn't give
Nate
very
says,
good
job
compliments.
well done. Yeah, it's like makes you feel all good and squishy inside. Yes.
Yeah, totally, for sure.
That. Even
Yeah.
today, he's like, "Yep, that looks good." Oh, thank God, because he normally says,
He'll tell you straight
That's
up.
the
dude.
that's the worst
Yeah,
fucking lighting job I've ever seen in my fucking life.
Yeah, he's honestly like, yeah, I feel like I'm pretty straight up, but Nate doesn't give a damn. Like he'll just honestly, it sucks. I'm like, fuck, you know what? You're kind of right. I guess it does, but yeah.
Here, with that being said, let's one of his photos. Let's bring. I think Nate just showed up, guys. Let's see if he's actually here. Nate, are you actually here?
"You live, Nate?"
Nope. All right. I can hear him
Nope.
breathe. All right. I thought he showed up, but he did show up. He just, he's a great
Took a
lighting
little-
guy. He's not a great tech guy.
Yeah, that's for sure.
All right, awesome. So, Andrew, would you say right now you guys are full-time landscape lighting guys? Outside of Q4 at least, are you guys consistently staying busy and actively marketing landscape lights?
We're kind of like I was telling you guys earlier, we're in the middle of a transition of like really kind of just having its own lighting division. Because ultimately, like I'm tired of getting kind of like everything jumbled together with Christmas and landscape, because it really is two different crafts. It's two different ways of installations, two different applications and process and whatnot. So our marketing has been a little bit slow, and that's partly because of me. I've been like very critical of what we're going to put out there and how we're going to do it. So I've been a little bit slower on that. But we have done a couple other jobs this year. We've reached out to existing customers. We did one at Newport Beach. It was probably, I think it was around 50 lights. And that job was insanely difficult because everything was run, all the conduit that was existing was run under the house as it was being built. So that thing was like,
Wow.
it was not an easy job, dude. It was ridiculously hard. But yeah, we're going in the direction of like, this is what we're going to be doing in the off season, and really just staying afloat. Probably obviously not in Q4 unless we've got the infrastructure to do it, because Christmas is just so, Matt can attest to this. It's a shit show. But yeah, that's the plan, dude. That's kind of what we're doing. We like it, honestly. Again, like once you're out there doing the work, it is hard. If you're the guy doing the work, like it ain't easy. It's definitely rewarding work though. Like you're getting your hands dirty, you're doing something productive. And I want people to know too, like this isn't like Christmas lights in the sense of Christmas lights is difficult too, right? It gets very tiring. It's very long days. The days are obviously, the sun comes down a little bit earlier in the day, so you're got to hustle and get up earlier. But like what you're doing when you're doing landscape lighting at like this elevated level, and I wouldn't say that we're doing it at like the level of like either of you guys quite yet, but we have some instances where we are. But like, dude, you're out there like digging like gnarly trenches. You've got, a 4 or 5 foot bit that you're plowing under like the sidewalk barrier, like pathways. You're cutting 12 feet of concrete because you need to lay the line there. Like this is more of like a construction style type of labor. It's not just like, hey, we've got our staple gun or we've got our clips, like let's do this. Like no disrespect to Christmas, where that's like I'm an OG in Christmas now, but like this is really a different level of skill set and craftsmanship. So just when you're going out there, just be ready to do it and just get ready to grind, dude. That's what it is.
Can't really train a crew right in a day or two.
Oh,
All
absolutely
right.
not. Yeah, no way.
Takes a little longer. Hey, I saw Nate back there, like a little 8-year-old raising his hand in the back of the classroom.
Oh yeah, it took me a few minutes to figure out how to get this goddamn camera on. So
on your ceiling, nonetheless. But anyway.
Well, yeah, I know. Well, fuck it. Hey, so the one thing, hey man, good to see you, David.
What's happening, brother?
The one thing I'm super impressed with beyond anything, besides obviously you're talented as far as getting the install done, because obviously that's half of it. You got to, like you said, cut big 12-foot trenches, that concrete undermine stuff, which is a talent itself. But the ability that I'm going to say really was your first job, the ability to sit there and have the confidence to be able to sell a high level job like that, which is, and have the confidence to sell it and then install it. 99.9% of the people I meet don't have the confidence to do that. They don't have the self-belief system that would go, oh yeah, I can sell this goddamn job, right? And that's what inspires me to be able to get guys like you that can take that confidence from the Christmas light side of it to where, yeah, I got the vision. Fuck yeah, these people need these lights. This property deserves these lights. And now it turns into a 300 light job once you complete the third phase. So that's what I think is absolutely amazing to me, that you're able to take the help that we offered and then go sell it.
Yeah, let me
Good
jump on
job.
that I want to jump on that, right? Because we deal with a lot of Christmas guys, and it is mind blowing. It makes me laugh so hard that so many guys from Christmas we all know what we're selling there, right? Low end jobs are like $2,500. People are spending 10, 20,000 and up, but they get into landscape lighting. They're like, you want me to pitch a $12,000 or a $20,000 job? I'm like, what? You charge more than that for Christmas. It's so funny to us to see how many Christmas guys are scared to pitch a large landscape lighting job when they're doing it for temporary Christmas. Mind blowing.
Yeah, I think it's funny too, especially coming from Christmas, where like I feel like I used to be the cheap guy too when I started. Like, you are like, I want this $600 job, $800 job. Now it's like we're looking at like our average ticket last year, I think, was like 4,000 or something. I've been fortunate enough to close 6-figure jobs, upwards of 200,000 now, where I've got the confidence to do that. But yeah, I mean, you really got to you got to have the balls to do it, dude. Like the worst they're going to say is no, it's too expensive. Like, okay, cool. Let's pull back. Like you always really want to shoot high. And obviously like at the end of the day, like, I feel like it's like what Nate said, right? Like this house does deserve these lights. Like you got a property like this, like you can't half-ass it and just say, oh, I think 20 lights are going to look good. Like, I might give them a little bit of light, but it's like, you're trying to really illuminate this property and like show off the architecture of it and like the entire, all the features that it has to offer. So you got to go out there and aim high and like really kind of let the lighting speak for itself, and that was the one thing I really think I took from you guys too. Like, you guys are lighting artists, like that's a big thing at Nate. We went to his training down in near San Diego at his place, and we saw his facility and everything. And he really preached that a lot. Like we're artists, using light to paint with. I think that he has that in one of his, books or whatever he gave us. But it's the truth. Like it's not like you're just, using a flashlight to go look around. Like you're like, dude, let's make this shit look super fucking badass, and go ahead and go for it.
Hell yeah.
So, and getting back to you're like, we got to come up. I'm going to come up with another hat and another deal like the 1%er, right? To where you're not even, you're lower than the 1%er to where you were your first job again. I know it's your second, but fuck it. Right?
Yeah.
First great job.
Totally.
200 fucking grand plus. Jesus Christ, most guys don't do 200,000 in a fucking
We didn't
year.
do no. I think you misunderstood.
Right?
This is not a $200,000 job. I wish it's definitely above the 6 figure. It's above 100 grand though for sure. After it's all set and done, yeah, I think it's about 130ish, 120.
Well, anyway, for your first job above 100K,
totally.
I mean, most guys walk onto
Take that
property,
daily, please.
Well, yeah, most guys
totally,
walk onto that property and they just go, they'll never spend that money. And you're like, you're a fucking moron. I mean, let's go find the copper rain gutter guy. Let's go find the statue guy that sold him $25,000 in statues. Let's go find the pool guy that the pool cost $450,000. Of course, they'll spend the goddamn money.
Yeah. Again, too, it's like even if the worst case they tell you like it's too much, like all right, well here's where we could pull back. Like they're gonna want to do something.
Yep.
Yeah. That is the when you mentioned that, Nate, you literally mentioned you're basically talking about me. Years ago, I was on a Christmas light quote. I had no idea who these people were. They're top 20 in the world, billionaires. And I literally were walking around their property for Christmas lights. And I said to them that you don't want to do that. That's way outside your budget. There's no way you're going to do all that. That's probably the first time they ever heard from them. Like, yeah, I closed them on a very small amount. They probably would have went with everything they told me they wanted. Like, lesson learned. It's not my wallet. Shut your mouth. Sell the job. Sell them what you want to do that they deserve, and you will be surprised when you just allow them to see your vision and let them decide with their wallet, not yours.
Yeah, 100%.
Good closing comments there. Ben, Andrew, I appreciate you jumping on, joining us here on our 20th.
Yeah, thanks for having me, guys. It was sick. I appreciate it.
What is, if any of the audience wanted to follow you on socials, what is an Instagram handle or something you'd like to share?
Our Instagram handle is just what the business is, Holiday Light Installations. We're on Instagram. We're on Facebook, not very active on there. Instagram's where we're most active. We post the most videos on there and that sort of thing. I guess we were talking with my guy Lance yesterday. I think we might be doing some more informational stuff that we're putting on our YouTube, just kind of showing people behind the scenes how we do installs and, cutting through certain, concrete or whatever it is, kind of show off more of the jobs. But yeah, just holiday light installations, the best place to find me at.
Sweet.
All right. Dope.
Awesome. All right, guys. Have a good rest of the week.
Thanks, fellas. I
All right,
appreciate
brothers.
it. Take care.
Later,
All right,
Andrew.
guys. All right.
Yep.